Dollar, dollar, dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We have today another Watch Mojo. I feel like we ain't did Watch Mojo in a little minute. Today we got 25 mysteries that are still unsolved 25 years later. This is 2025. Just imagine, man. 1999. Prince said, let's party like it's 1999. He said like 2025. It's so mad. Bro, you remember the 2000s? Y2K? You remember all that time, bro? Folks was acting weird, man, around that time. Talking about the world just coming to an end. It's going to...
So crazy.
You remember that?
No, kind of, a little bit.
We were kids. We were little kids, but I still
Those were good times.
Yeah.
Those were good times.
Yeah. That is true, though. That is true. But hey, with that being said, before we get into it today, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
And I apologize if we don't pause as much as we normally do. Some people like, thank God. But we can't talk as much as we would like to. But,
yeah.
You know, or you are accustomed to. So, if it ain't that many pauses, that's why, man. We almost there, y'all. Give us about another week. We should be, hopefully.
Give me about 2 weeks. Okay, a week. Come on.
Everybody keeps talking about, oh, Kathleen's lost in this tragedy. No, she's not.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at 25 mysteries that have remained unsolved for the last 25 years. We will be giving a 1-year leeway both ways, so the mysteries must have occurred between 1999 and 2001.
To this day, just what happened that morning remains a mystery. The crime unsolved, her killer never held to justice.
The Smiley face murder theory.
They are hundreds of young men from all across the country. Their deaths labeled as accidental drownings. Now, these retired detectives say it's murder.
Hold on. Ain't this what they call the same joints in Austin, Texas?
Yeah, but it's, because they were saying that they were trying to, like, what is it called? Connect them or say it was like a copycat or something.
I can't remember about no copycat or anything.
But yeah, that's what they called them. But it was the same. Yeah, it was like
that's crazy, bro.
Are they accidents or murders? This is the main question at the heart of the Smiley face murder theory. It posits that beginning in the late 1990s, approximately 45 young men, most being popular and athletic students, have been killed by unknown assailants. It's also said that Smiley face graffiti was found near many of the locations, leading some to theorize that the murders are connected. The main proponents have suggested that the victims were drugged, abducted, and killed before their bodies were placed in the water to make the deaths look like accidental drownings. However, many professionals are skeptical, believing that they were actual drownings. The theory has gained attention in pop culture, but it remains unproven and widely debated.
Could these and the hundreds of others have fallen victim to a group these former detectives call the Smiley face killers?
Trevor Deely.
All you had to do is do a proper autopsy, but...
Oh, all four, like, it's 45 of them, right?
Yeah.
It's 45.
There's no accident.
Like, come on.
And then there's Smiley
face
around.
Like, if there's no water fountain and these gentlemen...
Which it could be. They could, like, struggle them and drown them to make it appear...
Okay, well, yeah, if that's the case. But I feel like... Okay, well then if that's the case, then it'll be harder to determine then.
Yeah,
I just don't. I've always felt like it was foul play. I don't feel like it was a drowning, accidental drowning.
Yeah.
The morning of December 8th, 2000, Trevor Deely was leaving his work Christmas party in Dublin and stopped by the office to grab an umbrella for the walk home. CCTV also shows Deely leaving the office and passing a bank. About 30 seconds later, a man in black can be seen following him. Deely has never been seen since. To this day, no one knows what happened to Deely. In December 2023, his brother Mark informed the public that despite speculation, the man walking behind Deely on the street was not the same man outside of the office. The latter has never been identified. David Carroll, better known as Wolf, David Carroll was a Canadian biker and member of the Hells Angels. He played an active role in a Canadian biker war that occurred in the late 90s and early 2000s, and he was also a reputed gangster involved in the likes of drug trafficking and extortion. But in March of 2001, Canadian police charged Carroll with 13 counts of first-degree murder as part of a larger crackdown against violent biker gangs. However, Carroll was in Mexico when his warrant was issued. An extradition request was filed, but Carroll evaded police and has never been found. He has reportedly been seen in a number of different countries since then, with the last sighting in Australia in 2012. Leah Roberts.
Police traced the Jeep to 23-year-old college student Leah Roberts, who left her home in Raleigh, North Carolina 9 days earlier without telling anybody where she was going.
On March 9, 2000, 23-year-old Leah Roberts left her home in Durham, North Carolina, and over the next 4 days drove to Bellingham, Washington. Those who knew her reported that Roberts was at a difficult point in her life. She had recently dropped out of university, seemed directionless, and was struggling with the deaths of both of her parents. On March 13th, Roberts left a Bellingham restaurant and was never seen again. 5 days later, her wrecked car was found in North Cascades National Park, its starter motor having been tampered with. No one knows what happened to Roberts, with many theorizing that she was either murdered or she voluntarily disappeared to start fresh somewhere new.
There are a few clues. Authorities cannot even say for certain if Leah was in her car when it crashed. Only one thing is certain. Leah Roberts embarked on a cross-country journey of self-discovery. Her friends and family are still waiting for her to come home.
The St. Clair Triangle.
Wake up, you're not gonna believe what I saw. Ronnie?
No, don't. Not now.
No, listen, Ronnie, I never would have believed it. There was this, in the cab, it was this whole, there was a red whoosh.
Would the UFO phenomenon continue into the new millennium? If you asked yourself that question, you certainly didn't have to wait long for answers. Around 4 a.m. on the morning of January 5th, 2000, a mysterious object was seen flying over the skies of various Illinois towns, including Highland and Lebanon. This UFO sighting became a prominent piece of pop culture, even inspiring Sufjan Stevens to write concerning the UFO sighting near Highland, Illinois. The FAA has officially attributed the phenomenon to an advertising blimp, but that seems kind of sus. Why would an advertising blimp be flying over small Illinois towns at 4 in the morning?
If this is just nerve gas, how come I know everything in such detail? I've never been here before. How come I know so much? What the hell is going on around here? Who the hell are you people?
Rilya Wilson.
Michele was in charge of checking up on Wilson and would eventually be accused of not visiting the home for a year.
Did you ever see hugs and kisses from the defendant to Rilya?
No. 4-year-old Rilya Wilson disappeared on January 18, 2001, launching a famous investigation into the Florida Department of Children and Families. Unfortunately, she wasn't reported missing for over a year. Her caseworker, Deborah Michele, failed to check on Rilya and later resigned after being brought up on charges of fraud. Rilya's caregiver, Geraldine Graham, claimed that a DCF worker had taken Rilya for a medical evaluation and never returned her, but this story was later proven false. She also alleges that Deborah Michele knew about Rilya's disappearance but failed to report it. Many people believe that Graham murdered Rilya, and she was convicted of child abuse. However, she was not convicted of murder owing to insufficient evidence, and Rilya's body has never been found.
She has insisted all along that she took good care of Rilya. She insisted that little Rilya was a happy child, and yet couldn't explain, it just didn't make any sense, well, what happened to her and why she wasn't doing more to find out what happened to this little girl that she proclaimed to love so much.
Kevin Palmer.
That don't even make sense, bro. Yeah, that little girl fell by so many.
So many people.
The foster mom. The caseworker.
Anybody that was around and knew that
she
didn't
for
report
a year.
For a year. A whole year.
Nothing being reported? Yeah. Lock everybody up involved in the situation. Because it sounds like a cover-up in so many ways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's sad.
And I understand they can't charge for murder when you have no body. It's you presume the person to be deceased. But you know what I'm saying? Because now we can't even determine how the individual was murdered if the individual was murdered. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a possibility that the child could have died and wasn't murdered. So how can you know what I mean? It's like the law is so like tricky. Like it is so tricky. And I think a lot of people don't really realize that. That's why so many people beat certain cases. Because it's tricky.
There are a lot of unanswered questions in regards to Kevin Palmer. He worked as a timeshare salesman in Spain, and in March of 1999, he traveled to Newcastle in England. Or so he said. In reality, he went to Titchfield. No one knows why he lied or even why he went to England. Palmer was last seen leaving a taxi after getting into an argument with two companions, John Howitt and Juan Arribas. All three left the cab, and both Howitt and Arribas re-entered without Palmer before driving away. He was never seen again. The men admitted that they fought Palmer and left him lying on the ground, but did not kill him. However, some believe that they are not telling the full truth. The murder of William Pokhlyobkin. Born in Moscow in 1923, William Pokhlyobkin was a prominent Russian academic specializing in Scandinavian history. But he was probably more well-known as a food expert. He studied Russian cuisine and published many books, even winning the Italian Lange Cereto Prize for outstanding culinary writing. And despite penning the popular A History of Vodka, Pokhlyobkin did not drink alcohol. In March of 2000, his bloodied body was found in his Podolsk apartment after missing a publishing deadline. Alcohol was found in his system, and he had been stabbed 11 times with a screwdriver. His potential killer has never been identified, and no one knows why he had alcohol in his system. Zeferino Peña.
What? With a screwdriver? That's vicious, bro.
Facts.
That's a horrible way to go out, man.
We need a name. We need the next name, the guy that ties it all together.
This Mexican drug lord was prominent in the Gulf Cartel throughout the 1990s, working as an enforcer and heading organized crime operations. But in March of 2001, drug lord Gilberto Garcia Mena was arrested, and many within the Gulf Cartel suspected Cuellar of informing on him. That October, assassins stormed his estate in Nuevo León and attempted to kill him, but he was not home. This event caused law enforcement to look into him further, and with both the law and the cartel after him, Cuellar went into hiding. He has not been seen since, despite occasional statements that are made through his legal defense team. He remains a fugitive and is believed to be living off drug money in either Brazil, Cuba, or Canada.
You're holding out on us, I know it. Hey, just give me a name. Just give me a name and I will get you some help.
The murder of Kirsty Jones. This British woman made international news after being found murdered in Thailand in the summer of 2000. The British national traveled to Chiang Mai, the second largest city in Thailand, and was found strangled to death on August 10th. Evidence also suggested that Jones had been sexually assaulted prior to being murdered. Her death resulted in widespread international outrage, but despite the best efforts of the Thailand police, her killer was never found. Unfortunately, Thai law demands that the statute of limitations for an unsolved murder expire after 20 years. As such, Jones's case was officially closed on the 20th anniversary of her murder, with no answers having ever been provided.
Oh, wow. Y'all got a 20-year statute on murder? Oh, that's insane, bro. Because right now is the perfect time for new evidence.
Yeah.
New DNA evidence. You can probably really track.
Facts. You possibly could.
Damn. 9 times out of 10, when we did have advancement of technology, y'all probably didn't even think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because what year was it when she? I can't remember. I know it was between 99 and 2001. So they already said this.
2000.
So you got to think about it. It's in 2010, 2015, when that DNA testing became available y'all wasn't even worried about it. It was a cold case. It was over 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
And y'all like 5 more years and we ain't even got to worry about
Close.
it. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
The West Mesa murders.
It's the biggest homicide case in Albuquerque. 11 women found buried on the West Mesa.
What?
And today marks 13 years since the first woman was discovered.
Back in 2009, the remains of 11 women were found buried in the desert outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The women were eventually found to be sex workers, and police suspect that they were the victims of a sex trafficking organization operating in the southwestern United States. Others suspect a serial killer. The women were found to be killed between 2001 and 2005, and many are Hispanic women in their their 20s and 30s. Despite some persons of interest being investigated throughout the years, the case remains open and unsolved, with the West Mesa site now a somber reminder of the victims.
After years of investigating, still no arrests have been made in the case, and now investigators are saying there are more suspects than they originally thought.
Michele Ann Harris.
Did you kill Michele?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the fact that I'm sitting here and having to go through this is just a horror show.
It's a sad fact that sometimes one crime is overshadowed by another. Michele Ann Harris was a 35-year-old woman from New York who disappeared after leaving her boyfriend's house in Smithborough. Unfortunately, this occurred on the night of September 11th, 2001. As such, her disappearance was virtually ignored in the media, and New York law enforcement was largely focused on the terrorist attacks, leaving little room for Harris. Her estranged husband Cal became the primary suspect and was even convicted twice for her murder, but he has since been acquitted and has sued for malicious prosecution. Many still believe in Cal's guilt, although the case technically remains open, and owing to the law of double jeopardy, he cannot be prosecuted again.
It was unfair. We shouldn't have to live at home without both parents, especially because our dad didn't even do anything.
Alexander Khazanov.
What if your dad did do it? That's
I have questions about that one.
And there's not going to be probably a lot of information
because
of the
of
events
the
that happened, you know?
Yeah. So much.
I guess it was the perfect time to get away with a murder. You know?
As crazy as it sounds.
That's insane, man. You would have never. Wow. Yeah, her case was never. Like, I wonder what evidence and like what information they got that pointed them in his direction. I understand with her being married and everything, you typically go for the spouse in a situation like that. But obviously, they got the body. Mm-hmm. They can determine by evidence the other body, but like I always say, when it comes down to a spouse or anything, and that they don't have previous history of any type of abuse or anything, my DNA should be on my spouse. Like, it should be in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it be a fingerprint on them, hair follicles. My DNA should be on my spouse.
Yeah.
Can't rule just dead unless there has been previous reports, you know?
Yeah. I wonder as well.
I wonder why.
Not even just the first time, but the first time and then another time. Like, I just wonder, like, what new stuff did y'all find that y'all was like, okay. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's it. And I want to have we not seen, there's so much you put out there. I want to have they ever did like a documentary about it or anything.
Born in Russia, Alexander Khazanov fled to Brooklyn with his family and became a child prodigy in mathematics. Khazanov excelled in the field, even becoming one of the youngest people to write a perfect paper at the International Mathematical Olympiad, which he accomplished at the age of 15. But by the summer of 2001, he had entered a difficult period. He was taking antidepressants and was suffering from various personal problems, causing him to take a leave of absence from university. On the morning of June 10th, he left home on his bicycle, claiming that he was going to the library. He was never seen again, and no one knows what happened to him. Crop circles.
Very famously, back in the 1990s, there was balls of light flying across a field that were actually seen to lay the crops flat. And within a space of only a couple of minutes, they were filmed actually producing one of those designs.
How much stock do you put into crop circles? While these have been around for a while, they gained widespread recognition in the late 20th century. Not so coincidentally after two hoaxers admitted to making crop circles in the English countryside. By 2001, approximately 10,000 crop circles had been reported around the world, with many coming in the late 1990s. 17 crop circles were reported across Canada in 1999, whereas only 2 were reported in 1997. Their popularity culminated in Signs, which was released in 2002 and grossed over $400 million. It's still unclear what caused the rash of crop circles in the late 90s and early 2000s, whether it be hoaxes, natural phenomena, or just maybe aliens.
What if it's catching a signal from them?
It's not.
But it wasn't working.
Morgan, this crop stuff is about a bunch of nerds who never had a girlfriend in their lives.
Sneha and Philip.
Sneha Phillip, an emergency room doctor who was going home to Battery Park City that fateful morning. When she saw the wounded fleeing World Trade, she ran inside the tower to help.
We tragically returned to 9/11 for the story of Sneha and Phillip. She was working an internship at Cabrini Medical Center when the attacks occurred, and she lived with her husband in Battery Park City. Phillip was last seen alive on September 10th, 2001. Many believe that she raced to ground zero following the attacks, as she lived nearby and had extensive medical training, and subsequently died when the buildings collapsed. However, the NYPD also suspected a different fate, having uncovered extensive personal problems that she was suffering in the last few months. Despite there being no evidence that she died in the attack, Phillip was officially declared a victim of 9/11 following a petition from her family.
So what happened to the 31-year-old doctor? We know that her name is listed here at the 9/11 memorial, but we don't know if she actually died here.
Paul Skiba, Sarah Skiba, and Lorenzo Chivers.
New tonight, a new reward in a 25-year-old Colorado cold case. The search is still going on for whoever murdered 3 people on this day in 1999, including a 9-year-old girl who'd gone to work with her dad and was caught up in the violence.
A chilling and bizarre story. These disappearances have baffled investigators for nearly 30 years. Paul Skiba owned a moving company in Westminster, Colorado, and on February 7th, 1999, he took his daughter Sarah on the job with him. Also present was Lorenzo Chivers, one of Skiba's employees. After Sarah's mother reported her missing, authorities found that all 3 had disappeared. Curiously, a moving van was found on the lot missing its extension ramp and riddled with bullet holes. Both Sarah's and Paul's blood had also been smeared across the exterior of the truck. Neither of the 3 were ever seen again. Police currently suspect that they were murdered and their bodies were sunk in a body of water using the missing extension ramp.
We're assuming that they were shot because there was some evidence that there had been some impact strikes from firearms at the location. So that's the assumption at this point.
John Paul Sr.
But the black dude, none of his blood was on the scene. What's his name, Lorenzo?
Mm-hmm.
None of his, but the father and the daughter, their blood was on the scene.
Smeared.
I wonder, did possibly Lorenzo have something to do with it?
Or did they yeah, I don't know.
Ain't no telling.
I mean, they probably found some type of traces of his DNA.
It would have been reported.
But I guess they just stayed there because it was more. I don't know.
Reported.
I ain't go. They was never to be seen. I don't know.
Yeah, even if he committed the crime, he could have fled.
I don't have much. I don't know.
All you gotta do, I ain't gonna say that.
A professional driver, John Paul Sr. won both the 24 Hours of Daytona and 12 Hours of Sebring in 1982. Unfortunately, he soon fell into a life of crime and spent 15 years in prison. He was finally released in 1999 and met a woman named Colleen Wood, but she disappeared in December of 2000. Suspicion immediately fell on Paul, although no charges were ever filed against him. And in the summer of 2001, Paul also went missing after leaving Fort Lauderdale on his boat. Authorities later discovered that he had taken nearly $40,000 from Wood's bank account following her disappearance. He has since been spotted in Jamaica, Fiji, and Thailand, but he has never been caught, and his whereabouts are currently unknown. Asha Degree.
After 20 years, I still believe my daughter is alive. I do not believe she's dead. And I know somebody knows something. I'm not crazy enough to think that a 9-year-old can disappear into thin air.
In the early morning of February 14, 2000, 9-year-old Asha Degree left her North Carolina home. For reasons unknown, she packed a bag and walked out into the heavy rain. She was later spotted by a passing motorist on Highway 18, but when he turned the car around to approach her, Degree ran into the nearby woods and was never seen again. Some of her belongings were found nearby, and her packed bag was later discovered in a construction site. Unfortunately, we still don't know what happened. The FBI reopened the investigation in 2015, and in 2024, a search warrant was executed in relation to the case, with a local husband and wife named as suspects. However, it officially remains both open and unsolved.
This morning, we're finally getting some answers in the disappearance of Asha Degree. For the first time, investigators are now saying she was likely killed and that her body was hidden.
EgyptAir Flight 990.
I rely on God.
Whatever the first officer is intending, he says nothing except this phrase again and again.
One of the most bizarre events in aviation history occurred on October 31st, 1999. EgyptAir Flight 990 was flying from Los Angeles to Cairo when it crashed into the ocean south of Nantucket. The accident was investigated by multiple bodies, including the National Transportation Safety Board and the Egyptian Civil Aviation Agency. Unfortunately, both came to startlingly different conclusions. The NTSB concluded that the crash was likely caused by deliberate actions taken by the co-pilot and wished to take the case to the FBI. However, the ECAA vehemently declined this proposal and rejected the NTSB's conclusion, claiming instead that it was a mechanical failure. Independent experts generally agree with the NTSB, but the lack of a clear motive complicates the theory, and it remains divisive.
Stressed beyond endurance, the left engine is ripped from the plane.
The Bear Brook remains.
I think there's a push to give the voiceless back their voice and be that for them. I wanted them no longer to be Jane Does. They were individuals. They were people just like anyone else.
This case is named after Bear Brook State Park, which was the site of a grizzly discovery back in 1985. A hunter stumbled across a 55-gallon drum, and inside were the remains of a woman and a little girl. Fast forward to 2000, when a state trooper was investigating the site and found another drum containing 2 young children. DNA tests proved that the children were linked to the woman found in the other drum. This woman was later identified as Marlise Honeychurch, and the 2 girls were her daughters. Police believe they were all killed by a man named Terry Rasmussen, who was the father of the still unidentified girl and Honeychurch's boyfriend. Unfortunately, Rasmussen died in 2010, before clear answers could be gleaned.
Well, Monica, the little girl in this case is believed to be the victim of suspected serial killer Terry Rasmussen and known to be his biological daughter. Now this nonprofit is working with state police to try and identify the little girl through advanced genealogy techniques.
Kathleen Peterson.
What's wrong? My wife had an accident. She's still breathing. What kind of accident? She's down on the stairs. She's still breathing. Please come. Is she conscious? What? Is she conscious? No, she's not conscious.
The death of Kathleen Peterson spawned one of the most famous criminal trials of the 21st century. She died on December 9, 2001, her bloody body found at the bottom of a staircase in her home. Her husband Michael called 911 and soon became a source of national interest. He was found guilty of first-degree murder in 2003, but a number of post-trial developments occurred throughout the years, and in 2017, he was freed on an Alford plea. While this technically closed the case in legal terms, the mystery still abounds in the mind of the public. Did Michael kill Kathleen, or was it an accident? Many people remain unconvinced by either side, and no definitive explanation has been universally accepted.
There was just a very abundant amount of blood on her, on the floor, on the walls, that just was not consistent with somebody falling down the steps.
Jill Dando.
I'm like, just say it.
So we watched it. We watched that documentary, right? Mm-hmm. And we watched like every episode of that documentary. Do you believe he killed?
Oh.
Do you believe he killed her, or
I
do you
do.
believe? Because that wasn't his first. That's another thing. He was married previously before, mm-hmm. and his other wife fell down the stairs, but that time it was in Paris. Mm-hmm. Or was it in Paris?
I can't remember.
It wasn't in America. It was in another country.
Yeah,
I want to say Paris, France.
But to answer your question, do I think it was an accident? I'll just say that. Do I think it was an accident? Do I think she fell down the stairs? No.
And you remember later on, not the initial search, but way later on, they found something that could have been the weapon that was used to bludgeon across her head, but the weapon had been in the garage, in the car for so long, for some years.
Yeah.
And nobody had found it.
And I just don't feel like, was things handled properly?
Nope.
Things wasn't handled, because I'm trying to remember, because I watched so much.
Too, y'all.
Things wasn't like handled, I feel like, properly. And I'm like, so many things I feel like were a little overlooked.
Yeah.
And me personally, when I was watching it, I said, there's no way this is an accident that she fell down these stairs.
Yeah.
But who am I? I'm not there. I'm not on the crime scene. I'm not the one like investigating. I'm not a detective. I wasn't, in the, house, on the scene when this
occurred.
When it occurred, or like at the aftermath or whatever, just seeing the crime scene. So I can only go off of what's being relayed back, you
Yeah.
know. But I just didn't feel like it was that was from a fall.
Yeah.
I feel like foul play was definitely involved.
I do believe foul play was involved, and I think did he have a big insurance policy on her?
I don't want to
assume like that.
I can't remember, but I do remember watching it.
You're not finna lose two spouses off the same type of situation.
Right.
That's too big of a coincidence.
Consistent with somebody falling down the steps.
Jill Dando.
So one has to live with the hope that one day these people will get caught. Someone will say something. Allegiances change, friendships change.
This English journalist was named the BBC's Personality of the Year in 1997. 2 years later, she was dead. On the morning of April 26, 1999, Dando was shot and killed outside of her London home. The murder has been described as highly professional. The shooting was performed in an execution style, and the perpetrator escaped without being clearly seen and left little evidence behind. The murder led to one of the most extensive investigations in British history, but unfortunately, the police had nothing to go on. In 2001, a man named Barry George was convicted of her murder, but no one was convinced of his guilt, and he was later freed while receiving substantial damages for libel. So, if not him, who?
And I can tell you very clearly that there is no way that Barry George committed that crime. It was a professional hit, a single shot to the back of the ear, clearly by an organised criminal who knew exactly what they were doing.
Robert William Fisher. On April 10, 2001, the house belonging to Robert William Fisher exploded. Inside were the bodies of his wife Mary and their 2 children. But this was no accident. An investigation quickly discerned that Fisher's family had been murdered, and Fisher himself was nowhere to be found. 10 days later, Mary's car was discovered in Young, Arizona, about 130 miles northeast of their Scottsdale home. And that is where the trail ends. Some believe that Fisher took his own life. Many others believe that he got away with it, likely assuming a new identity and moving out of the country. He was briefly on the FBI's 10 most wanted list, but was removed in 2021 following a lack of leads.
Is Robert Fisher dead or alive? And where in the world is he?
I would not be wasting my time if I had evidence or if we had indication that he's deceased.
You don't think there's any chance he's dead?
Not right now, no.
What you do that for?
I don't think he's deceased. And I don't think he took his... Well, if he is, when this happened? Yeah, okay.
Between 99 and 2001.
Okay, well, at the time when they were like, when they took him off, whatever, I don't think he took his own life. If that was the case, I would have just...
I've been watching so much lately. I'll be like, being able to flee and change your identity seems like...
It don't seem that hard to do.
For...
If it's...
I don't necessarily agree.
Okay.
You by yourself will be hard to do. You getting somebody to help you with it that know what the fuck they doing, it's possible to do.
Okay. I don't think it's hard to do. So,
I don't think it's hard to do, but it's hard if you're an average citizen. You're not getting away with it. You need help to be able to change your identity and be able to flee, and nobody be able to track you. You need help.
People have done it so many times
with help, not solo dolo.
Some people haven't.
Nope. Unless you got access to another country, no. Okay. Those who have done it by themselves are typically not original U.S. citizens. They come from Eastern European, come from south of the border. They come from any other country. We've seen Indians. We've seen Africans. We've seen people who...
Okay, well, with help...
American-born
Okay,
people,
well, with help, no. I think that it's possible to do it. But anyway, in this case, I don't think that he took his own life. Nah. I do think that... He possibly got away with it.
He could be living off the grid.
Yeah. Well, not possible. He did. I mean, because y'all haven't found him, a body, nothing.
When I say off the grid, I mean like out in the wilderness. Just,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm saying for other people. But
yeah.
Like he could be off in the wilderness and nobody know nothing. It's possible.
Possible what?
On both sides.
I mean, yeah, anything is possible, but I just feel like if I wanted to take my life, I would have just took it
in
the house.
In the house, true.
Like,
I was just thinking the same thing. Like, I wouldn't fled.
Like, if the end goal was to take my life and my family's, then I would have just did it all in one, you know?
I wouldn't did it and nobody found me. You know what I'm saying?
Just personally, that's how I'm thinking, but I don't
true.
know.
I agree 100%.
He's deceased.
You don't think there's any chance he's dead?
Not right now, no. Not at all.
Ricky McCormack's notes.
Well, the FBI can't crack the code, but can you?
You remember
Federal
this?
investigators now seeking some...
We did Mr. Ballin. This is a Mr. Ballin story.
Let me see the picture of him.
Take it back. The FBI can't crack the code, but can you?
You finished on it.
Federal investigators now seeking some brilliant minds to help solve a 12-year-old unsolved murder case.
On June 30th, 1999, the body of 41-year-old Ricky McCormack was found in a Missouri cornfield. On his person were 2 mysterious notes, written in a code that is described as, quote, a jumble of letters and numbers occasionally set off with parentheses. McCormack's family seriously doubts that he wrote the notes himself, as he was illiterate. And if McCormack did write the notes, they likely don't contain a hidden meaning and are just a scribble of random letters. But then why did he write them in the first place?
If he's illiterate, this actually could be him thinking how things are supposed to be written. Because if he's illiterate, he wouldn't understand how to write
but
certain
then
words.
I guess it's the thing of people thinking that it actually means something.
It probably do mean something.
To him, but it won't make sense to anyone else because that's not how everyone's brain operates. So regardless of the fact if he wrote them himself, we'll never know what it says.
So you know how some illiterate people, they be like, they think dog is spelled like D-A-W-G. Mm-hmm. Because that's like, they don't understand the concept of D-O-G. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? Or it's another word being spelled. So they spell it a certain way. You look at it like, what the fuck you mean? And it's like, that's how their mind is computing it.
Yeah.
Like
they look like it's supposed to be child or something. Or I don't know if that's supposed to be an E or a C. This looks like something to me.
Yeah, everything
you know
looks like something, but also, like you said, our mind is looking at a jumble of words, but somebody illiterate would be like, oh, it makes sense. It means this. It could literally be that. Mm-hmm. Or if he's illiterate, I doubt it's a note for him because he won't be able to process it.
Yeah.
That means somebody else will have to put the note on him.
Right. And that was Yeah.
Despite the best efforts of the FBI and the American Cryptogram Association, the notes remain uncracked, and no one knows what they mean or why they were written.
This is a murder mystery that has really baffled police. For more than a decade, the answer may be found somewhere in that alphabet soup of letters you just showed, written on 2 pieces of paper.
Before we continue,
y'all don't even know how to properly say shit. Talking about some alphabet soup of words, bro. Shut the fuck. It's a little dicks, bro. But would the code ever be cracked? I do believe so. But it's gonna have to be somebody crack it that's not trying to be too smart about cracking it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Somebody like, oh yeah, I can crack
Honestly, it. I feel like if somebody did crack it, it would be made up. I don't feel like I really don't feel like it says much. I don't feel, unless it's really like some.
You still don't remember it, that case?
No, I remember it now. Yeah.
Like I don't remember every detail.
I remember it now. Yeah.
But I do believe he was murdered.
Yeah, I do think he was murdered.
And somebody probably did put some words or scribble that meant something to somebody else, and just to throw other people off. You get what I mean? Don't worry about it.
What is it?
Nothing. All right, let's get.
You go into your settings and switch on notifications. The anthrax attacks.
Tonight we find ourselves in the unusual and unhappy position of reporting on one of our beloved colleagues, a member of my personal staff who has contracted a cutaneous anthrax infection.
Just 1 week after 9/11, America suffered another attack in the form of
You don't remember this? The anthrax? They were putting this white substance on mail, and everybody, bro. Yeah, I remember this. Everybody
I don't remember. But
everybody was afraid to go to their mailbox and check their mail because they thought people were putting stuff on the mail and were killing people.
In 2001.
Yes.
How was I in 2001? No, I do not remember that.
Bruh, anthrax terrorist attacks ain't trying to get on no plane. Kirk Franklin used it in his song.
No, I remember. But
it was around the same time, and they were putting this white. They were putting this white powder substance on the mail, and when people were opening the mail, they were getting on their hands and they were getting sick.
Do you remember it like at that like in that year, or do you remember after the fact? Because I remember after the fact. I don't remember like.
I remember in the time, and everybody was afraid to check their fucking mail.
I said, okay, I remember.
And they were telling everybody be careful with the mail.
Okay, I remember all of that, but I don't remember it like at that moment, like in real time.
I remember in real time.
I'm trying to think of how old I was anyway.
Pete, you was a kid in 01. You was a kid.
Yeah, I know I was a kid.
So, you know what I'm saying?
But I kind of remember. It's understandable
if you don't remember.
I kind of remember it, but I don't like verbatim like you remembering it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's okay.
Your memory is a little bit better than mine anyway.
Yeah, my memory is way more sharper than yours.
Sharper?
Yes. Sharp mindset.
What's mine?
Let's not talk on it. But anyway, yes, I remember these anthrax reports. Yes.
Anthrax. Letters containing the bacteria were mailed across the country to various media offices and senators, killing 5 and injuring 17. Following a long and extensive investigation, the FBI zeroed in on a microbiologist named Bruce Ivans, but he took his own life after learning that criminal charges would be filed against him. Despite the FBI's insistence, many...
What the fuck you thought was going to happen? You killed 5 people. Injured 17.
I guess he didn't think he probably was going to... Maybe...
It's anthrax. It's a deadly...
No. I'm about to say maybe he thought it was going to be longer before he got caught or something. And he was like, I don't know. He probably didn't think they was going to
be able to trace through the
that
mail.
Quick.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So dumb.
After learning that criminal charges would be filed against him. Despite the FBI's insistence, many people doubt that Ivans was responsible, including the National Academy of Sciences, which conducted an independent review and found that the evidence against Ivans was weak. The case is officially closed.
I would have took my life. Y'all was gonna have to do what y'all do y'all job.
It was strong enough for him to be like, I'm gonna take my.
I'm not taking my life if I.
No. It was guilt.
But many people remain unconvinced of Ivan's guilt, and even if he was responsible, no official motive has ever been provided.
So it really is never before, never again did he have this extraordinary excess of hours, 10, 20, 30 excess hours.
By himself,
alone, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, in those very critical times leading up to both of the mailings.
Do you think you have any answers? Let us know in the comments below.
But if Ivans mailed the letters, what possibly could be the motive? Why terrorize the country?
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from...
Sometimes people be so pressed on a motive that they allow crime to go unsolved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I prefer you to worry about catching somebody and getting them for the crime than trying to figure out why they committed the crime.
Yeah.
You do that, like, I swear, we focus more on solving than trying to focus on understanding why. I swear, a lot of crimes will be solved. There's a lot of crimes. I think some people get so fixated on trying to understand the mindset of the criminal than to capture and arrest and prosecute the criminal.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why so much go unsolved, or people are able to get away with certain crimes that, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Sad, bro. Sad. Man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below, man. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We out.
Peace.
Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if dollar. Let me watch out for my pocket.